The PlayStation 1 wasn't my first console, but it was probably the most important. I had an NES and a Game Boy Color before I had a PlayStation, but the PlayStation is really what got me into video games. I like to keep a PlayStation on display, just in case anybody questions whether or not I like video games. But the thing is, it just sort of sits there. It's not particularly interesting to look at. So let's add a little something to it. Maybe I could design something in Blender, and print it, and add it to the PlayStation. But what? Let's add a save point from Final Fantasy VII. Now, if you don't know what Final Fantasy VII is at this point, I'm not going to explain it to you. Go watch some history of Final Fantasy or something like that. I've got better things to do. Let's make a save point. I've always thought that the save point kind of looked like a question mark, so that's the terminology I'm going to go with. First comes the curvy bit at the top. Well, in this case, the squarish curvy bit at the top. This was probably the most straightforward part of the whole build. All I had to do was make a plane, inset it a bit, remove the center and one of the edges, and then line it all up. Easy peasy. The crystal in the center was likewise easy. Make a plane, poke the center, pull the vertice in the middle all the way up to make it look like a pyramid, fill in the hole, poke the face, pull it down, but only longer this time. And just like that, we've got a crystal. And I totally got this on the first try, don't even question it. Hey, don't look at that! Get out of here! That seemed like a bit much, but okay. The base at the bottom takes some artistic license. If I'm going to make a 3D print of this, I can't have it be like a wall of light in the same way that it looks like in the game. I mean, I could, but I don't have the experience with electronics that would require. Instead, I decided to make the top of the ring kind of wavy. I did this by changing the height of each individual vert. Then I gave it some thickness so that it would actually print, and duplicated it, rotated it around, that way it has some extra variation. Then I adjusted the heights of the waves a little bit more to make it look even more wavy. But I made sure to change the height of the outer ring so that it looked better. And we're done. Gotta love those PlayStation 1 graphics. Oh, don't forget to save. Now, in-game, these objects can just sort of float in midair because they're made out of light or Mako or whatever. But if we're going to 3D print this, the crystal and the question square actually need to be able to stand on their own. Using the base of the ring, I made a base for the base of the stand. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Once the crystal could stand on its own, I went to make sure that the question square can stand. And for this, I used the tried and true method of peg in a hole. I used the cylinder to make the peg, and then a copy of that cylinder in order to make the hole in which the peg would sit. I didn't like the way that the hole was looking, so I tried to mess around with the vertices a bunch. It still didn't look right. square hole didn't look right. When I made a circular hole, it just sort of clipped through the top of the crystal. In the end, I decided that the best solution was just to cut off the top of the crystal. It wasn't going to be terribly noticeable anyway. At this point, you're probably wondering what I'm actually going to do. Well, I'm going to make a memory card mod. Not in the sense that I'm going to mod a memory card. I told you I'm not that great with electronics. Instead, I'm going to make something that looks like a memory card and can fit inside of a memory card slot, but is infinitely more interesting to look at. The memory card is basically just a rectangle. It's really simple to make. The problem is trying to make it actually fit inside of the PlayStation 1. I took precise measurements of a memory card I still have and tried to replicate them in Blender. Blender has this really nice feature where it will tell you how long something is, and I used that to try to match the lengths of the actual memory card, giving myself a little bit of wiggle room on either side. I've been burned by not having precise measurements before, and I'm not doing it again. I could have made the save point and the memory card one big print, but I wanted to be able to separate them in case I just wanted the save crystal. I needed a way to attach them to each other, but not permanently. I used the base that I already have to try to make a connection point by filling in the empty space. I kinda hated the results, so I decided to scrap it and just go from the base of the ring again. Why didn't I think of this before? After rounding it out, I extended into the memory card, and now they can be one. But the save crystal is a little bit too big to fit on the memory card, so I'll have to make it wider and stick out more. It won't look like a regular memory card, but I'm trying to make something that doesn't look like a regular memory card, so there. Now I have a save point memory card that looks just like the one in the game. Wait. No.
Son of a bitch!
Okay, so the proportions are off. Maybe I did this intentionally.
Shinra technology at its finest.
Oh, so you made this.
I mean, there's no way that the crystal in the game would be able to support the weight of the question square in the game. I could also bring up that the ring would be too thin to print. Really, I just forgot to check my references, and I already sent the files to my 3D printer guy. Always have references, kids. But it looks fine.